and welcome to Good News Rhode Island, the show about Rhode Island and the people and places and events that make Rhode Island a great place to live, that build our communities. Often there's so many people behind the scenes that we never get to know. And one of them is Gail Ahrens, who's here today to talk with us about the Empowerment Factory, a group of people who are trying to help kids to have more self-esteem and to understand their own civic responsibility, to understand the ways that they build into community. So welcome, Gail, and thank you for your wide vision of how to help kids. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
You're working with teachers and children to encourage them to have well-being, to encourage them mentally, spiritually, socially, to adjust and to move through life with some sense of grace and joy.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes. We concentrate on elementary and middle school, and we concentrate on creativity, self-esteem, and civic pride. And when we deal with the children, we really talk about community because they don't understand the word civic pride and what that means. But teaching them that happiness is a choice, that you can't control what happens in the world, but you can control how you react to it, and giving them the skills to be better communicators, to explore their mind through creativity, communication, and finding joy in life.
So, Gail, who are you? How did you get to this place? You've had a lot of different tracks, and you somehow ended up here. You started at RISD, is that right?
Yeah, RISD is what brought me to Rhode Island. And, you know, it's a lovely state. I love Rhode Island. I think maybe some people who are from Rhode Island, who have not lived other places, may not realize what a gem Rhode Island is. It's really a delightful place to live. And I came to go to Rhode Island School of Design and then stayed.
But in the meantime, you've had training in other places, and somehow all of your artistic training, first of all in metalwork, is that right? Metal jewelry, and then all of your other training has led you to want to talk about kids and how they develop and how their sense of creativity helps them to develop.
Oh, absolutely. So, you know, and I think that many people who go to Rhode Island School of Design will say that training your brain in creativity is really problem solving. It's being able to look at things from different perspectives, and also when you're working with others, it's teamwork. So it's not just an art project, but when you're dealing with young minds, it's so much better to be doing a project that they can be focused on doing, and then they're learning as it's a hands-on project. We use a lot of books to inspire them, and then we'll go into a project. And so that combination, like here we have a puppet that we made, and I like puppets that can open their mouth because a child may not be willing or to talk about something, but you put a puppet in their hand, and the puppet has so much to say. And so developing their vocabulary, their ability to communicate, their understanding of what words are, understanding their feelings, that's all skills that I think lead to a happier, healthier life.
And what you're doing is providing something, you call it the Empowerment Factory, but what you're doing is providing a space where kids can come and feel safe to begin to express themselves in whatever way. So you begin with really simple projects. I'm sure some of the kids are able to take them much further because some kids have more artistic talent than others. But other kids are able to do something with verbal skills.
Yeah.
I imagine that you help each child to develop as she or he needs to develop or can develop.
Yeah, so we have our space in the Hope Artist Village where we run programming. We partner with the Child Opportunity Zone in Pawtucket and the Providence After School Alliance for our after-school programming. And sometimes the youth get bused to the Empowerment Factory, or from some of the schools we can walk them over there, or we do programming at the schools. And the programming that we develop is, we've used the programming from first grade to ninth grade, and you're absolutely right that the level of words that you would use, or the levels that you would be exploring, say the same story, will be different when you get with the older children. But just understanding like what is hope, what is forgiveness, what is kindness, what is teamwork. I think all of those skills, getting a child so that they know how to reach out their hand and introduce themselves and feel confident, and that they believe in themselves. I think that anything is possible if you can change the trajectory of a young mind so that they believe in themselves. You open up the door to the world to them.
And you're able to do this by small steps.
Absolutely, absolutely. It doesn't happen in 20 minutes. The Empowerment Factory, the programs that we do with the youth, we call that the Creative Squad. And that you can see some of the pieces here that we've done projects with them. This is a dream box over here, and it starts with a whole page where they're exploring their dreams and what is a dream, what is a goal, and what's the difference between those two things. What do they want to see happen in the world? What do they want to see happen in their world? And spending the time developing those concepts, and then they're working on the box as we're working on that project. And on the inside, they color a special custom page that goes inside, and then we also put a mirror on the top so that when they're thinking about their happy thoughts, their dreams, their hopes, they can see themselves, because we want them to have visual references. We want them to see happiness, and to recognize that in their brain as being possible.
It's not a very fair question, but do you have someone who has succeeded in her or his dream? Who's graduated from the program?
Well, I think that there's a lot of small success stories. And the Empowerment Factory is just 4 years old.
So there wouldn't be a long time span.
So not a long time span, but like we've been having volunteers from like high school students coming in to volunteer with us so that they can, working with the elementary and middle school kids, and having that peer mentorship, I think, is a lovely thing. Getting them, some of the students, some of the programs, we help them with their homework first, and then we go into the creativity. A typical program will be bringing them in for sitting them down, maybe having a healthy snack, going into some mindful moments, we call them, just getting them to breathe deeply.
Time to think.
Yeah. There's a lot of old wives' tales, and one of them, like, just take a deep breath. That's really very true. And we're all moving really fast-paced. I think that, so once we get past just those few deep breaths and try and get them focused, and then we may read a book, and some of the books like that we would start in the beginning would be F is for Feelings with the elementary children. I think something like that tells them, it gives them words to identify. We might go into like, Wayne Dwyer, Louise L. Hay, Eckhart Tolle, all these wonderful people who have written books for adults are also breaking that message down so that young minds can understand that, and then bringing that into a creativity project.
So it's hard to express, but in a way you're providing something that we imagine, and it probably wasn't always true, but what family used to be able to provide in a sort of organic way, because the parents could provide this kind of sensibility with the kids, or the the synagogue or the church would have provided that, or the local neighbors would have provided that. And the kids sometimes are stripped from that because of need to be safe, because of need to be home at certain times when kids aren't out playing. All of the things that used to be provided by community, you're trying to provide in your own empowerment space.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, the Empowerment Factory, it's a place, but it's also a concept of creating that happy, safe space. So your point directly, that multi-generational families used to have people, and also parents used to have more time, and children also used to be able to go out in the world and explore and not be afraid. And now, many times, children you have to know where they are at all times. To keep them safe, people are keeping them inside, and they don't get to go out and explore. So besides being in the classroom, we also take them out to outside spaces. I have a walking path in Pawtucket called the Baldwin Loop that I've been working on for the last few years, and it is a 2-mile walking path that connects a senior center, a park, a community center, the largest elementary school, and a historic building. And that 2-mile walking path we've decorated with public art that the youth have helped participate in designing, talking about healthy habits, and also putting more gardens and greenery along the walking path. Getting the youth in the garden, getting them to connect with nature, I think is a wonderful way to teach them that life is not instant, that they live in a world where they have their iPhone and their iPad and their computer games and their TV, and so many families are using that as a babysitting structure that they don't understand that you need to plant a seed, you need to nurture the seed. And it goes back to having goals. Like, everything doesn't happen overnight, that you have to be patient. One of the things I stress with them is progress, not perfection, that making mistakes is a perfectly okay thing, and we learn from our mistakes. But by getting them outside, getting them walking, getting them in the garden, planting things, looking at plants when it's 1 week old, at 3 weeks old, being able to pick some of the vegetables or see the flowers in the pollinator garden. It's something that
they don't have that experience in their daily lives.
Exactly.
And so
well
to
said.
Understand growth
Yes.
is a whole different process. If you understand, you use this, you told me you use this butterfly, and maybe you can talk a little bit about how you talk to kids about the butterfly and the stages of butterflies.
Well, it's
the same kind of thing. Isn't
Exactly, and this particular puppet has 3 different stages where it can be the chrysalis, the caterpillar, and then the butterfly. I use a lot of puppets in our education program, and then the hands go in here so it can fly. And that change, and how they will change, that change is natural, that what the butterfly, the goals when it is a caterpillar is to eat, and then when it's a butterfly, it's to pollinate, and how the different stages of life that we go through is a natural process. At Baldwin Elementary School, I just finished a 2-year project of getting a pollinator garden installed outside that school, and the whole edge of the pollinator garden is a raised wall so that it has an environmental education so that the children can sit on the wall, and we can talk about the flowers, and we can talk about the plants, and they can help water the plants, and what are the colors and what are the shapes and all of those things.
Well, does somehow your program interact, or is it melded with the curricula that's going on in Baldwin School?
Well, we do after school, and we also do summer programs and special workshops and events. But as I look to how will the Empowerment Factory grow, we're talking to the teachers now and developing curriculum that is aligned with much of what they are doing. And many, like a project of, say, making a card can also have a lot of math. You're measuring things, making jewelry, you're counting out things and you're sorting things. All of it can, science, math, art, literacy, all of those components are designed to come in. And I think the core of what the Rhode Island Department of Education has emphasized, which is social emotional learning, which is at the core of what we do. And we blend that with creativity, we blend that with environmental education, we blend that with literacy, and those three aspects.
Are you planning to move to other school systems as well? Or other schools?
We would love to, as we grow, developing the curriculum, training more teachers, getting more volunteers. And again, it all comes down to funding, because we've done an awful lot with the small amount of money that we've had. And I think that there's great things for the Empowerment Factory. I think that it's very much what our world needs right now.
Now, one of your goals, you have a goal that every child have confidence and self-expression, but you also have a goal that children will be engaged in the community. How are you doing that besides the fact that the kids are learning with other kids, which is really important, or growing a garden with other kids, or walking a path with all ages? How are you building community? How does one build community in this system? Well,
I think that's a really that's the big question, because what is community? Who is our community? Our community is everyone, and teaching them that they are a person and that they live in a house, and that is in a city, and that is in a state, and that is in a country, and that is in the world. And how can they help the world? Whether it's all the things they can do by picking up trash, being kind, saying please, saying thank you to the people who are around them, trying to create harmony in their own homes, having them be aware of, when we think of that everyone can be a hero, so there are so many ways that they can build community. On the flip side, one of the things that the Empowerment Factory is looking at is how can we engage the families in this, because you can talk and communicate with children, but then they go home to families. So that community outreach. We just in September had our second Healthy Living Community event at Baldwin Elementary, and it was part of the Pawtucket Arts Festival, and it was part of Design Week RI, and having the parents and the family members, the guardians, come with the children and participate in these activities is a wonderful extension of the Empowerment Factory.
Yeah, I would think that having parent evenings would be, this is my perception, that many people don't have self-esteem. They have come here through tremendous troubles, very, very hard lives, and they need to have something that builds their own self-esteem as well. And to extend the program to parents or to families would be really important. I don't know how you would do it, but it just seems like it would be a natural and that kind of thing. Well, making it a multicultural, multi-age event would be really important.
Well, we have a lot of creativity workshops at the studio. December 5th, we have a needle felting class that is appropriate for any age level and any skill level. We have other people who come in and do expressive arts, so you listen to music, you meditate, and then you just draw and scribble. And they do that as families, and we've had people who are 5 and people who are 90 in the same thing. Because
And you can do that at home, which is giving a skill that the people can take home and
Absolutely.
use and do meditation at home, which would be, I would think, really important on a rainy, cloudy, sunny.
Right. Well, that's a really good point, because my mother is an artist, and so going back to all of what I experienced as a child, it's a rainy day. So you're drawing, you're painting, you're making paper mache sculptures, you're doing many different things that are, and also they didn't have the TV when we were children. So you were doing things. I was in the backyard, I was watching bugs, and I was climbing trees, and all that beautiful experience of exploring the world is something that, it's a beautiful thing to offer that to children.
And when you're young, the backyard seems pretty big.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You have some partnerships that you work with, and you're looking for funding. You're hoping that the city will do some things with you or help you.
Well,
the
pollinator garden that we just installed was a community development block grant. So even though I had to do all the negotiations for the contracts and meet with all the vendors, the city worked with me to have that happen. And the city of Pawtucket is a wonderful partner to support the arts. We're looking to Rhode Island State Council on the Arts to do more with them, sponsoring more creativity workshops.
That is a really important organization, isn't it?
It's lovely. On Saturdays in January to April, during the farmers market that happens at the Hope Artist Village, the Pawtucket Wintertime Farmers Market, we will be hosting free creativity classes for youth every Saturday.
Okay, so that is something that parents need to know, that if they go to the Hope Artist Village
starting in January,
on Saturday, starting in January, they can have their kids do something creative in the Empowerment Factory room, which is in the building. And it's 999 Main Street, Pawtucket, Studio 707. And we hope that parents will take their kids there and enjoy some time themselves. I mean, it's not something to sneeze at, to be offered space to do something creative, even if it's drawing with a crayon on a piece of paper. That's something that we don't usually do, and it's a good thing to move beyond our normal space, right?
Yeah, and we've got lots of fun tools and equipment that, if you're making cards, we've got embossing machines, and if you're making puppets, we've got, access to also, like the pom-poms on the top here. They were teaching the kids how to make the pom-pom first, and then this is all needle felted in the back, and so you can make something very elaborate or very simple. So on the Saturdays, those classes and workshops, they're going to be free and open to the public, but they'll also be donation based, so they could.
If we can turn that a little bit, maybe turn it a little bit, turn it around a little bit.
This little guy.
Yeah, just to show the back.
Oh, the needle felted back.
Yes.
Yeah, so the back of that.
So what you're doing is helping people will find their own way of expressing themselves and get permission from you, whereas most people don't have permission, I think, to work outside the box. And clearly with your hat, you're saying you can work outside the box. Tell me about your hat.
Well, every day I make a collage on the top of my head. I've made my hair into a bun, and then just sort of like the Buddhist sand paintings, where they spend weeks at a time doing a drawing. So every day I make a new collage on the top of my head, and then at the end of the day I dismantle it. And the intention is, I feel that I'm here to channel joy. And so as I pass through my day, I encounter people, and it makes them smile.
So your hat is a statement of an inner beauty, in a way, an inner self.
Yeah, an inner intention of and it's amazing that people, like I've had a stock person, at a a hardware store, or someone in a grocery store, or some people that says, thank you, it made me smile. And that's the whole point, is happiness is a choice. And so if you make one person smile, then that affects their energy, and then that affects all the people around them.
So it's doing what you can in your own space, isn't it?
Yes.
It's being who you are.
Yes, and also being silly is really a wonderful thing. And everyone
Too many of us are not.
People are taught to be so serious, and if they see me and I've got funny stuff on the top of my head, and it's just the kids know it's Miss Gail, and I walk into the school and they smile and they're like, okay, we're in for a good time. We're going to have a happy time. And it's a beacon of joy is what it's supposed to be. It's its intention.
You have the very serious work of supporting this financially, and you are a 501c3 now.
Yes.
And on your website there is a way that you can donate, that people can donate if they would like to.
Yes, please.
To try to help to encourage children in Pawtucket to have a better self-image and a better life.
Yes.
In the end.
I mean, we do Pawtucket, Providence. We've got a small programming going in North Kingston now. We're looking to venture out to Central Falls and other areas. We're doing work with the Girl Scouts, and they are coming from all over Rhode Island to come to the Empowerment Factory. So yes, you can donate on our website, and no amount is too small. I mean, anything. We can make, $5, you can buy some art supplies. $10, it'll buy some copy paper so that for all the creativity sheets that we do with them. $2 million, you can transform our world, and we'll have a lot of teachers.
So I want to thank you, Gail, for being here and for having the vision to just keep plugging and doing small things and building them to the larger. You clearly have taken in the message of self-esteem and using self-esteem to build community. And I thank you very much. We've been talking to the Empowerment Factory, and I hope that you will take part in it by going to the Artiste Village and meeting Gail and meeting other teachers and finding out how you can be empowered by the Empowerment Factory. Thank you for watching Good News Rhode Island. We're sure that there is good news right around the corner, and it may be Gail and it may be you. Anyway, thank you for coming. Thank you for watching Good News Rhode Island.